Hi everybody, this is Yoganandam from Edall Academy Biology Lecture. In this video let us discuss a biology full syllabus test paper with detailed solutions. Totally there are 90 questions with answers. Let us discuss one by one.
Question number 1. How many post-meiotic mitotic division will be required to produce 100 zygotes in a flowering plant? A pollen grain is formed by meiosis in pollen sac. It undergoes 2 mitotic divisions to form 2 male gametes. A megaspore is formed by meiosis in ovule. It undergoes 3 nuclear divisions to form embryo sac, which has 1 egg cell. In flowering plants, double fertilization occurs. Thus, for formation of 1 zygote, 5 mitotic divisions are required. Thus, for 100 zygotes, 500 mitotic divisions will be required. So, the answer for this question is option C, 500. Question number 2. A gene has 2 alleles such as capital B and small b. Capital B is responsible for expression of characters small x. Small b is responsible for the expression of character small y. Capital B is completely dominant over small b. Another gene, capital A, is epistatic on gene capital B. When capital A is in the dominant condition, it suppresses the expression of capital B and small b and gives rise to a character Z. In recessive condition, that is allele small a allows expression of capital B and small b. When an organism with genotype capital A, capital B, small b is crossed with another organism with genotype capital A, small b, small b, the ratio of characters small x, small y and z seen in its offspring is. According to data given, character small x will be expressed in organism having genotype small a, capital B or small a, capital B, small b. Character small y will be expressed in organism having genotypes small a, small b. Character small z will be expressed in organisms having genotypes capital A, capital B, capital A, capital B, small b, capital A, small b, capital A, small a, capital B, capital A, small a, capital B, small b, and also the capital A, small b. Thus, the character small x will be expressed in small a, capital B, that is 1 in number, and small a, capital B, small b, that is 2 in number, that is 3 out of 16 possibilities. Thus, the character small y will be expressed in small a, small b, that is 1. That is 1 out of 16 possibilities. Thus, the character small z will be expressed in capital A, capital B, that is 1 in number, capital A, capital B, small b, that is 2, capital A, small b, 1, capital A, small a, capital B, that is 2, capital A, capital B, small b, that is 4, and also the capital A, small b, 2 in number, that is 12 out of 16 possibilities. So the ratio of x, y, z 3:1:12. So the correct answer for this question is option B. Question number 3. Read the following paragraph about an organism. These organisms are unicellular eukaryotes. Their body moves along decaying twigs and leaves engulfing organic material under suitable conditions. They form an aggregation called plasmodium which may grow and spread over several feet. During unfavorable conditions, the plasmodium differentiate and forms fruiting bodies bearing spores at their tips. Which of the following organism does it? Here there are 4 organism names are given. Slime molds are a saprophytic protist. The body moves along decaying twigs and leaves engulfing organic material, undergoes suitable conditions. They form an aggregation called plasmodium which may grow and spread over several feet. During unfavorable conditions, the plasmodium differentiates and forms fruiting bodies bearing spores at the tips. These spores possess true walls. They are extremely resistant and survive for many years even under adverse conditions. The spores are dispersed by air currents. So the answer is option D, slime molds. Question number 4. Option about photosynthetic group and coenzymes. So in the given tabular column, photosynthetic groups are organic compounds and are distinguished from other cofactors in that they are tightly bound to a apoenzyme. For example, in peroxidase, the catalase which catalyze the breakdown of hydrogen peroxide to water and oxygen. Heme is the photosynthetic group and it is a part of the active site of the enzyme. Coenzyme are also organic compounds, but their association with the apoenzyme is only transient, usually occurring during the course of catalyst. Furthermore, coenzymes serve as cofactors in a number of different enzyme catalyzed reactions. The essential chemical components of many coenzymes are vitamins. Example, coenzyme nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, it is generally called as NAD, and NADP contains the vitamin niacin. Catalytic activity is lost when the cofactor is removed from the enzyme, which testifies that they play a crucial role in the catalytic activity of the enzymes. So the answer for this question is option C. From the given tabular column, the third one is organic, tightly binds to protein part of the enzyme. That organic transient association with the protein part of the enzyme. So that is the prosthetic group and coenzyme. Question number 5. Blastocyst stage can be located in. Cleavage is the repeated mitotic division of zygote to form a solid ball of cells called morula, which later changes into a hollow ball of cells called as blastula. The blastula gets attached to the uterus and is thus known as implantation. So the answer is option D. Uterus. Blastocyst stage can be located in uterus. Question number 6. Sacred groves are seen in Sarguja, Chanda, and Bostar areas in India. Has also a history of religious and cultural traditions that emphasize protection of nature. In many cultures, tracts of forests were set aside and all the trees and wildlife within were venerated and given total protection. Such sacred groves are found in Kasi and Jaintia Hills in Meghalaya, Aravalli Hills of Rajasthan, Western Ghat regions of Karnataka and Maharashtra, and Sarguja, Chanda, and Bostar areas of Madhya Pradesh. In Meghalaya, the sacred groves are the lost refuges for large number of rare and threatened plants. So the answer is option A, Madhya Pradesh. Question number 7. Which of the following statements are correct? Here there are 4 statements are given. Very low concentration of bacteria or virus, that is at a time when a symptoms of the disease are not yet visible, can be detected by amplification of the nucleic acid by polymerase chain reaction. PCR is now routinely used to detect HIV in suspected AIDS patients. It is being used to detect mutations in genes in suspected cancer patients too. It is a powerful technique to identify many other genetic disorders. A single standard DNA or RNA tagged with a radioactive molecule, that is generally called as probe, it is allowed to hybridize to its complementary DNA in a clone cells, followed by detection using autoradiography. The clones having muted genes will hence not appear on the photograph film because the probe will not have complementarily with the mutated gene. ELISA is based on the principle of antigen-antibody interaction. The infection by pathogen can be detected by the presence of antigens, that is proteins, glycoproteins, etc., or by detecting the antibodies synthesized against the pathogen. Many transgenic animals are designed to increase our understanding of how genes contribute to the development of diseases. These are specially made by severe as models for human diseases so that investigations of new treatments for diseases is made possible. Today, transgenic models exist for many human diseases such as cancer, cystic fibrosis, rheumatoid arthritis, and Alzheimer's disease. So from the given statement, all the 4 statements are correct. So the correct option is D. Question number 8. Which one of the following is correct statement? Alleles produce the opposite and contrasting phenotypes. When 2 alleles of genes are identical, they are homozygous, can be either dominant, that is capital A, capital A, capital B, or recessive, small a, small b, small b. And when 2 different alleles, the individual is heterozygous and are made up of 1 dominant and 1 recessive alleles, capital A, capital B, small b. In heterozygous condition, the dominant allele is able to express and recessive allele is hidden, and the recessive condition is expressed in homozygous conditions only. So the answer for this question is option B. Recessive condition is expressed in homozygous condition only. That is the correct statement. Question number 9. Which of the following organism will show a condition as depicted in the following diagram? The above diagram represents aseptate cenocytic mycelium. It is found in picomycetes. The members of picomycetes are found in aquatic habitats and on decaying wood in moist and damp places, or as obligate parasites on plants. Asexual reproduction takes place by zoospores, that is motile, or by aplant spores or non-motile spores. These spores are endogenously produced in sporangium. A zygospore is formed by the fusion of 2 gametes. These gametes are similar morphologically, so they are called as isogamous, or dissimilar, then it is called as anisogamous or oogamous. Some common examples are mucor, rhizopus. Rhizopus is otherwise called as bread mold, and albigo. It is otherwise called as parasitic fungi on mustard. So the answer for this question is option C, albugo. Question number 10. In the pea plant, the genotype capital R small r will be expressed as the gene controlling starch synthesis in pea shows a small degree of pleiotropy. Starch synthesis in pea seed is controlled by one gene. It has two alleles, capital B and small b. Starch is synthesized effectively by capital B homozygous, and therefore large starch grains are produced. In contrast, small b homozygotes have lesser efficiency in starch synthesis and produce starch grains. After maturation of seeds, capital B seeds are round and the small b seeds are wrinkled, heterozygotes. Capital B form round seeds, but the starch grains are of intermediate size. Starch grain size is considered. Capital B seed shows incomplete dominance, but if seed shape is considered, capital B allele is dominant and small b is recessive. So the answer for this question is option B, round seed with intermediate starch grain. Question number 11. Each cell of the sporogenous tissue is capable of giving rise to. Each cell of the sporogenous tissue is capable of giving rise to a microspore tetrad. Each one is potential pollen or a microspore mother cell. The process of formation of microspores from pollen mother cell through meiosis is called as microsporogenesis. The microspores, as they formed or arranged in a cluster of 4 cells, the microspore tetrad. So the answer is option D, a microspore tetrad. Question number 12. Mendel's law of independent assortment does not hold true for the genes that are located closely on. The chromosomes contain the genes for various features. If many genes are located on the same chromosome and within close proximity, the genes are considered to be linked. Such linked genes resist recombination during the meiotic phase of cell division in gamete formation and do not follow Mendel's law of independent assortment, which states that the alleles of two or more different genes get sorted into gametes independently of one another. In other words, the allele a gamete receives for one gene does not influence the allele received from another gene. So the answer for this question is option A, same chromosome. Question number 13. Of retina in human eye containing only cone cells is called. The innermost layer of eye is made up of thin, delicate and transparent membrane is called as retina. It has 3 regions such as optic disc, macula lutea and peripheral retina. The retina has several layers, including the layers of special cells called as photoreceptors. Rod cells help with the motion detection, low light visible along with the black-white visuals. The photoreceptor cells called as cone cells are mainly concentrated in small area on retina called as macula. A small depression called as fovea centralis is found in the macular region, which is concentrated with only cone cells. This section of retina is responsible for maximum visual activity and color vision. So the answer is option D, fovea centralis. Question number 14. Seedless fruits are produced from. The fertilized mature ovule containing the embryo surrounded by the layers of hard coat is generally called as seed. The fruit is characteristic feature found in the flowering plants that develop from the ovary after fertilization. If fruit develops without fertilization, then it is called as parthenocarpic fruit. Such fruits are called as seedless fruits. So the answer is option C, unfertilized ovary. Question number 15. Generates an action potential which stimulates both the atria to undergo simultaneous contraction, and this is known as the sinoatrial node. Is a modified myocardial structure that can initiate action potentials to stimulate atria to undergo contraction. This contraction of atrial chamber increases the blood flow into the lower chamber of the heart by 30%. So the answer is option B, the atrial systole. Number 16. Which of the following associations fixes nitrogen through non-nodulations? Cyanobacteria like Anabaena is known as to form the facultative symbiotic relationship with the coralloid root of Zygus and helps with nitrogen fixation without forming nodules, and in turn provides food and stable environment. So the answer is option B, coralloid roots of Zygus in associated with Anabaena fixes nitrogen through non-nodulation. Question number 17. Osmoreceptors in the body are activated by changes in. Sensory receptors that detect changes in osmotic pressure and assist in maintaining fluid balance in the body are called as osmoreceptors. These are spread out in the kidneys and hypothalamus of the body. These play important role in homeostasis. Changes in the blood volume, ionic concentration and body fluid level triggers these receptors for response. So the answer is option D, all of the above. Question number 18. Read the following statements. So here there are 4 statements are given. Statement 1, 51% of carbon is found in dissolved in oceans. That is wrongly given. So the statement 1 is wrong. Statement 2, the oceanic reservoir regulates the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Yes, statement 2 is correct. Statement 3, some amount of fixed carbon is lost to sediments and removed from circulation. So that also correctly given. Statement 4, carbon constitutes around 49% of dry weight of an organism and it is next only to water. So that is wrongly given. So out of 4 statements, statement 2 and 3 are correct, 1 and 4 are wrong. So the correct option for this question is option C. Question number 19. Lyases catalyze through. Enzymes are proteins that catalyze biological reactions. These enzymes are grouped or categorized as per the reaction mechanism. They are divided into 6 classes. First one is oxidoreductase or dehydrogenase, catalyze oxidoreduction reactions. Second type, transferase, catalyzing transfer of functional group. Third type, hydrolysis, catalyzes hydrolysis of compounds. Fourth type, lyases, catalyzes removal of groups by mechanism other than hydrolysis. Fifth group, isomerases, catalyzing interconversion of isomers. Sixth type, ligases, catalyzing linking of 2 compounds. So enzyme 4A, B, C belongs to the group of lyases which catalyzes breakdown of substrates by means other than hydrolysis. So the answer for this question is option A. Lysases catalyze through removal of groups from substrate by mechanisms other than hydrolysis, leaving double bonds. Question number 20. Exclusive areas of the geographic distribution are: a species is a group of similar individuals that produces offsprings that are fertile and capable of interbreeding. If a species population is reproductively isolated due to geographical barrier, this results in development of 2 separate species. Such species are called allotropic species. These species have exclusive areas of geographical distribution. The evolution of a new species from an existing one due to reproductive isolation and present in the same geographical region is called as sympatric species. Organism groups that are closely related and have identical morphological features but reproductive isolation are termed sibling species. These group, even if they interbreed, their offsprings will be sterile. 2 morphologically identical species that do not interbreed are referred to as the sibling species. For example, Drosophila pseudo and Drosophila persimilis are sibling species that do not interbreed. Morphospecies means of classifying groups of organisms based on their morphological features. So the answer for this question is option D, allopatric species. 21. Which statements among the following are correct? The upper surface of the tongue has a smaller projection called as papillae, some of which bear taste buds. It is used to detect specific taste, in which about 50 to 150 cells are found. The general taste detected as sweet, sour, salty and bitter. The serosa is the outermost layer of the alimentary canal and it is made up of the thin mesothelium, that is the epithelium of visceral organs with some connective tissues. The liver is the largest gland that produces bile for digestive process and weight is about 1.2 to 1.5 kg in adult human being. During the process, the stomach stores the food for 2.5 to 3 hours. So the answer for this question is option C. From the given 4 statement 1 and 4 are correctly given. Question number 22. The extra volume of air that can be inspired forcefully after normal inspiration is: it is the volume of air present at each stage of the gaseous exchange process found in the human body. Total lung capacity is the amount of air one can accommodate. 5000 ml vital capacity is the volume of the air that can forced out. 4500 ml. The amount of air that will remain after normal exhalation is functional residual capacity, that is 2300 ml, and inspiratory capacity is the extra volume of air that can be inspired forcefully after a normal inspiration is 3000 ml. So the answer is option D. The extra volume of air that can be inspired forcefully after normal inspiration is inspiratory capacity. Question number 23. The step that are associated with ATP formation during substrate level phosphorylation is. Respiration is the process or mechanism to break down food molecules to release energy in the form of ATP. During the process of aerobic respiration, phosphorylation of ADP occurs, forming the energy currency molecule adenosine triphosphate. The energy required for the production of proton gradient which is needed for phosphorylation is obtained from the oxidation reduction of the molecules. Such phosphorylation step is called substrate level phosphorylation. One respiration process, glycolysis, where 6-carbon glucose is broken into 3-carbon pyruvate. During glycolysis, substrate level phosphorylation occurs at two steps: the conversion of 1,3-diphosphoglyceric acid to 3-phosphoglyceric acid by losing a phosphate group is used in making ATP, catalyzed by the enzyme phosphoglycerokinase. Pyruvate kinase hydrolysis, phosphopenol pyruvate to pyruvic acid, where PEP losses phosphate group which is used in making ATP. Also during Krebs cycle, in the step of hydrating succinyl CoA to succinic acid, energy is liberated. This energy is used in the formation of GTP from GDP, but it is quite unstable. Thus, it is transformed to ATP. This process of ATP formation is by substrate level phosphorylation. So the answer is option D, all of these. Question number 24. Melanism in peppered moth occurred due to natural selection. The significant reason for this is due to the resources being limited in nature. Organisms having traits that favor survival and reproduction will tend to leave more offsprings than their peers. This results for those traits to increase in frequency or expression over generations. Such a phenomena is called as natural selection. As natural selection, the variation suitable for the particular environment. The response of peppered moth, that is Biston butyllaria, to the industrial change is a classic example of natural selection. This moth is found in all parts of England. Industrial melanism is an adaptation where the moths living in industrial areas developed melanin pigment to hide themselves from their predators, and this adaptation is called as industrial melanism. Due to industrial population and soot deposition, the bark of tree becomes darker in color, which was advantageous for black moths were camouflaged and difficult for predators to identify. As a consequence, the white colored moth were easily visible and got hunted more than black colored. The population of black colored moth increased due to natural selection as they were better adapted to the current environment. So the answer for this question is option C. Advantageous selection of black moths on trees in polluted areas resulting increase population of black moths. Question number 25. In general, species diversity dash as we move away from the equator towards the poles, and with very few exceptions, tropics harbor dash species than temperate or polar areas. General species diversity decreases as we move away from the equator towards the poles, and with very few exceptions, tropics harbor more species than temperate or polar areas. So the answer for this question is option B. First dash filling with decreases, second dash filling with more. Question number 26. In 1963, two enzymes responsible for restricting the growth of bacteriophage in E. coli were isolated. They were dash and dash respectively. The enzyme that restricted the growth of bacteriophage is called as restriction enzyme. One of the enzyme was methylase, which added methyl groups to the adenine base of the DNA, thereby restricting or inhibiting the growth of bacteriophage. A restriction endonuclease is enzyme that cut the DNA at specific site and eliminating the foreign DNA or infecting organisms. These two groups of restriction enzymes were isolated from E. coli. So the answer is option C, methylase and restriction endonuclease. Question number 27. Colchicine is obtained from. Colchicine is a type of alkaloid that many applications. One of the major applications is in the treatment of disease gout and Behçet's disease. One of the major application is treatment of disease gout and Behçet's disease. It is also useful in the plant breeding process, where it induces polyploidy by inhibiting the segregation of the chromosomes during meiosis, resulting in half of the gametes with whole chromosomes and another half with no chromosomes. colchicine is produced by a flowering plant, Colchicum autumnale. The alkaloid is obtained from the bulb-like comb formed from the plant. This plant is considered deadly poisonous due to its colchicine content. So the answer is option B, combs of Colchicum autumnale. Question number 28. Find out the mismatched pair. The chromosomal disorder occurs when there is an addition or deletion of the chromosome in the individual. In the case of trisomy of the 21st chromosome causes Down syndrome. Turner syndrome is a type of chromosomal disorder occurring due to the loss of one X chromosome resulting in the genotype as 44 plus X chromosome or 44 plus X0. Such females are characterized by stunted height and webbed neck. They are sterile as ovaries, are rudimentary and lack secondary sexual characters. Hemophilia is an X-linked recessive blood disorder. In it, the individual has delaying clotting time for blood which can be fatal. X-linked disorders are the inherited disorders due to mutation in X chromosome which causes the phenotype to be always expressed in male and in female only in homozygous condition. Cystic fibrosis is a hereditary genetic autosomal recessive disorder of the respiratory system. It is caused due to the mutation in CFTR gene. This condition occurs in an individual when both the alleles of CFTR are affected. So the answer is option B, cystic fibrosis, autosomal dominant, that is mismatched one. Question number 29. The nervous system of Hydra consists of. Hydra belonging to the phylum Cnidaria is a genus of freshwater organism. They are generally found in tropical and temperate regions. A nerve net found in Hydra serves as a simple nervous system that connects photoreceptors and touch-sensitive nerve cells. These cells are found in the body walls and tentacles. Brain and muscles are absent in Hydra. Also, the nervous system is not as a complex found in higher animals' nervous system. The nerve cells of Hydra are monopolarized. Signal can move in any direction. So the answer is B, non-polarized nerve cells. Question number 30. Number of microsporangia in Dithecus anther where pollen grains are produced. It has the microsporangia and thus multiple layers surrounding the pollen sac. The typical angiosperm anther is bilobed and each lobe having two theca or chambers. Such thecal pattern is called as dithecus. Microsporangium is the structure found in the anther where pollen grains are produced, which is surrounded by multiple layers of tissues. Each lobe of is the pollen sac is the site for production of pollen grain. Each lobe of the dithecus anther consists of two microsporangia. So the answer is option C. There are 4 microsporangia in Dithecus anther. Question number 31. Column 1 lists parts of the human brain and column 2 is the list of the functions. Match the following column. The largest part of the brain located in the front of the skull is the cerebrum. It is divided into two hemispheres and is responsible for the integration of complex sensory and neural functions. It is the main center for storage of information, memories and intelligence. One of the major structure of the hindbrain is the cerebellum. It is always called as little brain. It is responsible for the voluntary motor movements in a coordinate manner and also involved in the balance and posture of an individual. The information received by the sensory system is processed by the cerebellum to give the motor output like balancing. Then the mesencephalon, composed of the tectum and tegmen of the developing vertebrate brain, is also called as midbrain. This part of the brain plays important role in the movement functions, particularly movement of eye, also help auditory and visual processing. Then a small section located at the base of the brain near pituitary is called as hypothalamus. Hypothalamus plays a crucial role in various important functions. It controls the activity of pituitary gland, regulates body temperature. So the correctly matching option is option D. A is matching with S, B is matching with T, C is matching with P, D is matching with Q. So that is the correct option. Recognize the figure and find out the correct matchings. The alternation of two phases of life cycle between sexual phase and asexual phase is called as alternation of generation. Such life cycle pattern is commonly observed in plants and algae. It is also called metagenesis, and in it haploid gametopoietic, generally sexual generation alternates with the diploid sporophytic generation, generally called as asexual generation. There are 3 variations in the life cycle. In diplontic life cycle, the sporophyte is diploid, dominant, autotrophic and independent. The gametophytic generation is haploid, recessive, and dependent on sporophyte. The duration of sporophyte is longer than gametophytic generation observed in angiosperms. In haplontic life cycle, the gametophyte stage is dominant, green, haploid, and independent, while the sporophyte stage is diploid, recessive, and partially dependent on gametophyte. Also, the gametophytic stage duration is longer than sporophytic stage observed in algae. In haplodiploidic life cycle, both these stages have nearly equal duration and none of them are dominant. Gametophytic is represented as independent, autotrophic, and haploid, where the sporophytic is independent, autotrophic, and diploid. Pteridophytes shows as life cycle. So the correctly matching option is option C. In the given diagrammatic representation, A represent diploidic life cycle, B represent haplodiploidic life cycle, C represent haplontic life cycle. What is false? The regular natural change occurring in the female reproductive system in a cyclic manner is called as menstrual cycle. This cycle helps in getting a female pregnant. Onset of the menstrual cycle during puberty in a female is referred to as menarche. Menopause marks the end of the menstrual cycle phase in the life of the female. It is usually occurs around the age of 43 to 45. Menstruation is a phase of menstrual cycle where the woman discharges blood and other material from the lining of the uterus. The endometrial lining is shed off. Ovulation is the phase of menstrual cycle where the immature ovum is released from one of the ovaries triggered by the high surge of luteinizing hormone. So the answer is option C. Menopause occurs at the beginning of the puberty. So that is the false statement. Actually, menopause occurs at the age of 43 to 45. Question number 34. And saprophytic organisms are grouped as Kingdom Protista includes all single-celled eukaryotes, protozoans, euglenoids, dinoflagellates are included in this group. Organisms in the kingdom are primarily aquatic and some show presence of flagella and cilia, photosynthetic. It also includes the slime molds which are saprophytic protists. Slime molds are found engulfing organic matter from the dead decaying plant body. These groups are generally multinucleated without any proper cell divider and striped cytoplasm. They are known to form an aggregate called as plasmodium under favorable conditions that can grow up to several feet. The plasmodium breaks and differentiates into fruiting bodies forming spore under unfavorable conditions. And euglenoids are unicellular protists with flagella but no cell wall. They can perform photosynthesis as the cell structure contains chlorophyll. The kingdom Monera includes all prokaryotic organisms. Prokaryotes are the organisms whose cells do not have well-defined nucleus. All the bacterial groups are included in Monera as well as, since bacteria have prokaryotic cell structure, cyanobacteria of free-living photosynthetic bacteria that perform oxygenic photosynthetic process which are included in the kingdom Monera. So the answer for this question is option D, slime molds. Question number 35. Where will of malarial parasite? Malaria is caused by a parasite Plasmodium and it is spread by the female mosquito which feeds off the blood from animals for nutrients. Thus the female mosquito acts as vector for transmitting the diseases. During a blood meal by mosquito, blood stage parasites, that is gametocytes, which occur in male and female forms are ingested and pass into the gut of the vector mosquito. These gametes mate in the gut of the mosquito and begin a cycle of growth and multiplication in the mosquito. Thus, gametes of parasite will be found in the gut of the mosquito. So the answer is option D. Gut of infected female mosquito that can act as vector for malarial parasite. If in a photosynthetic system H2O power 18 type is provided, what will be the type of oxygen released in the process? Photosynthesis is the process of converting light to chemical energy and using that to produce glucose. The general wood form system H2O power 18 type provided O power 18, that will be the type of oxygen released during this process. So the answer for this question is option A. Question number 37. Question number, the adrenal cortex is mainly responsible for the on the kidneys produce a variety of hormones. Adrenal gland is divided into two parts, adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Cortex is further divided into zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata and zona reticularis. Zona glomerulosa is the outermost layer and responsible for the production of aldosterone, that is mineralocorticoid, which maintains electrolyte and water balance in the body. Carbohydrate metabolism is regulated by glucocorticoid secreted by zona fasciculata of adrenal cortex. Zona reticularis is responsible for the secretion of steroidal hormones. So the answer for this question is option C, water and electrolyte balance. Question number 38. In a mature dicot stem which has undergoes secondary growth, the youngest layer of the secondary xylem is situated. Dicot plants are a subgroup of the division angiosperms which have two cotyledons or embryonic leaves in their seeds. Meristematic tissue occurring between the mature regions of root and shoots of angiosperms are called as secondary meristem. These generally form by differentiation of the permanent tissues. The vascular cambium tissues found within the vascular tissue like xylem and phloem are secondary meristems which help in the lateral growth of the plant, helping in increasing the girth of the stem. The cambium cells between the xylem and phloem is called as intrafascicular cambium. The new cambium cells that form towards the pith and mature onto the secondary xylem, that is inner to the vascular cambium, and the cells forming towards the periphery on the outer side is called as secondary phloem. The younger cambium cells that will develop into xylem grow towards the centra or inside of the stem. So the answer is option C, just inner to the vascular cambium. 8th, 9th and 10th pair of ribs. 8th, 9th and 10th pair of ribs articulate with 7th rib with the help of the hyaline cartilage. So the answer for this question is option B, articulate with 7th rib with the help of the hyaline cartilage. Question number 40. In a unilocular ovary with a single ovule, the placentation is. Placentation is the arrangement of the ovules in the ovary and their attachment to it. Placentation are various types in angiosperms such as marginal placentation, axial, central, parietal, basal and free central. In marginal placentation, ovules are attached to the ridge formed on the ventral suture of the ovary without any locules. Pea plant has this arrangement. When the ovules are attached to the central column and the ovary wall forms chambers called as locules separating the ovules from each other is said to the axial placentation. In parietal, the ovules are attached to the inner wall or towards the periphery of the ovary. In basal placentation, the ovules are attached at the base of the ovary with single locules or chambers. Free central placentation is when the ovules are attached at the central axis of the ovary without any septae present like in axial pattern. So the answer is option C. In a unilocular ovary with a single ovule, the placentation is basal. Question number 41. Which of the following is called morning after pills? Morning after pills contain the compound levonorgestrel, which is combined with estrogen. These pill on consumption delay the ovulation or egg release. It must be consumed within 72 hours after sexual intercourse. This pill will not have any effect if there is implantation. It is sold in various brand name like iPill, Unwanted 72, Pill 72 or Plan B. These are sold by pharmacies without any prescription. So the answer is option D, all of these. Question number 42. Ribosomes are correctly characterized by which of the following statements? Ribosomes are to antibiotics depending on whether they are eukaryotic or prokaryotic in origin. So that is a correctly matched statement about ribosomes. So the correct option is option C. Question number 40 is wrong. Statement 1. Ozone in the upper part of the atmosphere is harmful to animals. Ozone in the stratosphere is considered as good ozone as it helps in limiting the entry of ultraviolet rays to Earth's surface and protecting us from the skin burn and skin cancer due to overexposure. So the statement A is wrong. Statement B. The greenhouse effect is natural phenomena. Yes, that is a correct statement. Statement C. Eutrophication is a natural phenomena in freshwater bodies. Is correct. D. Most of the forests have been lost in tropic areas. Is correct. So out of 4 statement, statement A alone wrongly given. Question number 44. Match the column 1 with column 2 with the correct options. Nitrogen is one of the essential macronutrient required by plants and absorbed in the form of nitrates and nitrites. It forms a major constituent of proteins, vitamins, chlorophyll, pyrimidines and hormones. Deficiency of nitrogen leads to stunted growth, chlorosis, reduced cell division, decrease in protein content, wrinkling of cereal grains, purple coloration of the shoot axis. Iron is another essential element necessary for plant growth and development, chlorophyll production, requires iron, and it is a component of many enzymes which participate in energy transfer, nitrogen fixation, lignification. Iron deficiency is clearly indicated by chlorosis, where leaf yellowing appears first in the interveinal region of the yellowing leaves. Chlorosis refers to production of insufficient chlorophyll leading to the yellowing of the leaves. Then chlorine is absorbed in the form of chloride ions, and it helps in maintaining salt balance in cells of plants. Boron is another essential element which is required for membrane functioning, pollen germination, cell differentiation. It is also required for calcium uptake and utilization. Boron deficiency symptoms includes leaf with yellowish or reddish cast, growing point stop functioning leading to stunted or rosette appearance. So the correctly matching option is option B. 1 is matching with C, 2 is matching with A, 3 is matching with B, 4 is matching with D. Question number 40. A virus with single stranded DNA is discovered. Its DNA is amplifying by running 10 cycles of PCR. How many double stranded DNA strands will be formed at the end? Polymerase chain reaction is a process to amplify nucleic acid sequences. In this process, the DNA replicate multiplied multiple times by adding synthesized primer, which attach to the denatured DNA strand and are extended using the thermostable polymerase enzyme, that is Taq polymerase, obtained from the thermophilic bacterium Thermus aquaticus. DNA is denatured by heating and breaking the H bonds. So finally, therefore, after 10 cycles, the number of copies will be produced is, that is 2 power 9 equal to 512. Question number 40. In sickle cell anemia, the shape of RBCs under oxygen tension becomes. Sickle cell anemia is a type of genetic blood disorder which is inherited from the parents. The person suffering from it develops an abnormal hemoglobin that leads to the elongated and curved or sickle shaped RBC formation takes place. Such condition occurs when the individual inherits two abnormal copies of gene for beta globulin chain of hemoglobin from each parent. The abnormal hemoglobin formed is not able to carry enough oxygen, and this causes the formation of rigid non-liquid protein strand that distort the shape of RBC. Sickle cell anemia is a recessive autosomal gene disorder that follows Mendelian inheritance pattern. So the answer is option B, elongated and curved. Question number 47. Increase in temperature by 2 degrees Celsius of scrotum wood. Spermatogenesis is the process of producing male gametes or sperm, which will then participate in the fertilization process. This process requires low body temperature, and hence the testis is placed in the scrotal sac outside the lower abdomen. If the temperature of the scrotum is rises, it will denature the enzyme required for the spermatogenesis process and reduce fertility as a new sperm are not produced. So the answer is option A, reduce the fertility by impairment of spermatogenesis. Question number 48. Virus mediated transfer of DNA from one bacterium to another is called. The process of introducing foreign DNA into a cell by a virus or viral vector is called as transduction. It is commonly observed in bacteriophages that infect bacterial cells. So the answer for this question is option A, transduction. Question number 49. Which of these symptoms is associated with hyposecretion of thyroid hormones? Under secretion of thyroid hormone by the thyroid causes hypothyroidism. It can be due to inadequate function of the thyroid or release of thyroid stimulating hormone. It also occurs due to the deficiency of iodine, poor ability to tolerate cold, slow heart rate, constipation, a feeling of tiredness, depression, and weight gain are some of the symptoms due to hypothyroidism. So the answer is option A, decreased pulse rate. Question number 50. The suction pressure of the cell is a negative pressure difference formed enables flow of gas or liquid to a lower state from higher state is called as suction pressure. The pressure that enables entry of water into the cell due to osmosis is the osmotic pressure, and it is considered negative. The pressure developed in cells due to the entry of water and acting opposite to the osmotic pressure is called as turgor pressure. It is negative pressure as it resists entry of water in cells. The difference between these two results in diffusion pressure deficit that equates to the suction pressure. It is directly proportional to the height of the plant trees. The answer for this question is option C, equal to dpt. Question number 51. All of the following can be found in the female cockroach except female cockroach differs from the male cockroach in many features. The body of male cockroach is relatively smaller than female cockroach. The antennae of female is larger than males. Boat-shaped abdomen is present in the female cockroach and its last segment is blunt. The wing size of female cockroach not as large as that of the males and extend up to the tip of the abdomen. The 10th segment bears a pair of jointed filamentous structure called as anal sessi found in both the sexes, and the males bear thread-like small structures called as anal styles. It is otherwise called as caudal style. This is absent in female. So the answer is option C, anal style. During which phase of cell cycle the amount of DNA in a cell remains at 4C level if the initial amount is denoted as 2C. The sequential event that lead to the formation of the new daughters by cell division and proceeded by duplication of the genome is termed as cell cycle. Whole cell cycle is broadly divided into two during G2 and M phase, which is not an autoimmune disorder. A condition where the body's own immune system mistakenly attacks the body cells or tissues is called as autoimmune disorder. Myasthenia gravis, it is otherwise called as neuromuscular disorder where the skeletal muscles are weakened. Graves' disease, it is generally called as hyperthyroidism, overactive thyroid. Rheumatoid arthritis, it is generally called as inflamed joints or a type of autoimmune diseases. Muscular dystrophy is a genetic disorder which damages and weakens the muscles over time due to lack of protein dystrophin. This protein is necessary for normal function of the muscle. So the answer for this question is option C, muscular dystrophy. Match the column 1 with column 2. Select the correct option from the codes given below. First one is Monera includes all the prokaryotic celled organisms. Prokaryotes are organisms whose cells lack well-defined nucleus. All the bacterial groups are included in kingdom Monera, as well as since bacteria have prokaryotic cell structure. Cyanobacteria are group of free-living photosynthetic bacteria that perform oxygenic photosynthetic process, which are included in the kingdom Monera. Bacillus is the genus rod-shaped bacteria under Monera. Oscillatoria is a group of cyanobacteria which reproduces by fragmentation method. Then kingdom Protista. The kingdom Protista includes all single-celled eukaryotic protozoans, euglenoids, dinoflagellates. Organisms in the kingdom are primarily aquatic and some show presence of flagella and cilia. Euglena and trypanosoma come under the kingdom Protista. Then third one, kingdom Plantae, includes all chlorophyll containing eukaryotes are included in kingdom Plantae. It also includes the thallophytes like algae group Chlamydomonas. Solanum is an economically important plant genus which includes potato and tomato. Then kingdom Fungi. It forms a unique group of heterotrophic organisms showing wide diversity. These organisms are achlorophyllous as they are all non-photosynthetic. Example Penicillium and Mucor are part of fungi. Then kingdom Animalia. It includes all multicellular eukaryotic heterotrophic animals. This includes Panthera is a genus that includes all spotted cats. It also includes the tiger and lion group. So the correctly matching option is option B. Question number 55. A single step large mutation is called sudden and large mutation occurring between the generation and leading to single step speciation is referred to as saltation. Speciation, the process of formation of new species due to the course of evolution. So the answer for this question is option B, saltation. Question number 56. Which of the following physiological effect is caused in plant by gibberellic acid? One of the important hormone as growth regulator in plant is the gibberellins. It is a type of promotory hormone. All varieties of this hormone are acidic. They produce a wider range of physiological effects in plants. One of the effect of this hormone is increase in the axis of the stem, which is used in elongation of genetically. Answer is option B, elongation of genetically dwarf plant. Question number 57. Onion is propagated through vegetative propagules or the plant parts or organs that are involved in the process of reproduction even though their primary function is not it. The reproductive process is called as vegetative propagation as the non-reproductive parts or organs such as leaf, stem, roots are involved. So the answer for this question is option B. In onion, the vegetative propagation carried out through bulb. Question number 58. match the organism with their excretory organs. Earthworm is a segmented worm belonging to the phylum Annelida and has excretory system comprising of nephridia. Cockroach is an insect from arthropoda. This excretory organ is Malpighian tubule, helps in removal of waste from the body. Green glands are a pair of excretory organs located near the head region of the crustaceans like prawns. In rotifers are microscopic animals which live in aquatic habitat and can be found in freshwater habitat. They have flame cells or protonephridia as excretory organs. So the correctly matching option is option C. Question number 59. Which of the following pairs consist of false? The unfertilized mature ovule containing the embryo surrounded by a layer of hard coat is generally called as seed, while the ovary in the following plant develops into fruit after fertilization. Fruit is a characteristic feature found in flowering plants. Fruit formed from a group of flowers or inflorescence is called as multiple fruit or composite fruit. Each flower of the inflorescence produces a fruit, but all join or fuse into a single mass. Example, pineapple and mulberry. So the answer for this question is option following pairs consist of false fruits. Question number 60. Which of the following can be used in wars? Biowar is a type of war where infectious agents are utilized with the intention of killing humans, animals or plants or incapacitate them. The weapon of biological origin can be the pathogen or toxin compound. It can also be a good delivery system for the bioweapon agent. So the answer is option D. From the given following, all of the above are used as bioweapon in wars. Diagram are the age of pyramids of different populations. Select the correct statement regarding the above. From the given diagrammatic representation, diagram B represent bell-shaped pyramid indicating stable population. So the correct option for this question is option B. Question number 62. Primates called Dryopithecus and Rhompithecus existed nearly. Human evolution is a gradual process leading to the emergence of modern humans. It is characterized by the number of changes in the morphology, physiology, behavior, which has occurred since the split between the last common ancestor of human and chimpanzee. Dryopithecus and Rhompithecus were early primates in the evolution of man and present about 15 million years ago. Dryopithecus was inhabited in European region having forelimbs longer than hind limbs. They resembled more like apes. Rhompithecus inhabited from India had forelimbs smaller than hind limbs. They resembled more like man. So the answer is option B, 15 million years ago. Question number 63. Which of the following is closest to the plasma membrane? Vacuoles are membrane-bound storage organelles found in the plant cell and animal cells. They are larger in size in plant cells compared to animal cells. The membrane of vacuole is called as tonoplast. The cell wall found around the cells of the plant contain multiple layers. The outermost thin, flexible and intensible layer is the primary cell wall layer of the plant. The thick wall is the secondary cell wall. The middle lamella connects the adjacent cell walls of the cells and is rich in pectin. It also forms the plasmodesmata. So the correct option is option D, secondary cell wall. Question number 64. Which of the following is correct about Ortropa belladonna? Ortropa belladonna, the common name is deadly nightshade, is a perennial plant. It is a poisonous herb and belong to the family Solanaceae, that including tomato potatoes. The foliage and berries contain tropane alkaloid, which are considered extremely toxic ingestion. These toxins of the plant have been found to cause delirium and hallucinations. Pilocarpine is the antidote for the belladonna. Plant grown for decorative purpose in gardens, house and landscape are called as ornamental plants. Roses, daffodils, lilac, etc. are considered ornamental plants. Plant substances that stimulates or suppresses the component of immune system are said to be the plant immuno. Or answer for this question is option B. From the given four options, the option B is correct about Ortropa belladonna. Question number 65. How many of the following statements are true from the given 5 statements? Of transcriptional initiation is the predominant site for control of gene expression. In a transcription unit, The activity of RNA polymerase at a given promoter is regulated by interaction with auxiliary proteins, which affects its ability to recognize start sites. These regulatory proteins can act both activator, that is positively, and repressor, negatively. The functioning of operator depend upon the protein products. Functional unit of DNA having a group of genes regulated by single promoter is termed as operon. Operon holds the promoter, operator, and structural genes which expresses to produce the necessary protein. Intron is not part of the operon. Lac operon is one of the most widely studied operon model. It was described by Franz and Jacques Monod in E. coli bacterium. So from the given 5 statements, there are 3 statements are correctly given. So the correct option is B. Statement. From the 4 statements, bone is a rigid connective tissue forming an integral part of the endoskeleton in vertebrates. There are many minute column-like structures present in it, namely the Haversian system. These contains layer of bone cells around the central canal called as Haversian canal. These columns are connected to each other by performing channels. It is generally called as Volkmann's canals. Cartilage is a type of connective tissue forming soft structure of nose tip, ear pinna. Nose tip contain hyaline cartilage, whereas ear pinna has elastic cartilage. Simple cuboidal epithelium is found in the convoluted parts of nephron that help in water absorption. Ciliated epithelium found in the inner wall of the trachea and even in the fallopian tube of female reproductive system. The abdominal wall of the body has skeletal muscles as there is a voluntary control over movement. Smooth muscles are found in the alimentary canal of the body. So the answer for this question is option D. From the given 4 statements, statement D is question number 67. The main cause of extinction of species from tropical area is habitat loss and fragmentation. Deforestation is the most important cause driving animals and plants to extinction. The most dramatic examples of habitat loss come from tropical rainforest, once covering more than 14% of the Earth's land surface. These rainforests now cover no more than 6%. They are being destroyed fast. So the answer for this question is option B, deforestation. Question number 68. Which one of the following statement about all 4 of spongilla, leech, dolphin and penguin is correct? Penguin is a flightless bird belonging to the group of aves and it is a homothermic animal. Dolphin is an aquatic mammal that gives birth to living young ones and found in both freshwater and marine water. It is also homeothermic animal. Leech is a segmented parasite under the phylum Annelida, majorly found in the freshwater habitat. They are hermaphrodites and poikilothermic animals. Spongilla is a freshwater sponge found in lakes in slow streams. They remain attached to the rock and log surface and filter water using their special cells called conocytes. It obtains its nutrient through this process. The symmetry of leech, penguin and dolphin is bilateral and that is spongilla is asymmetrical. So the answer for this question is option C. Spongilla has a special colored cells called conocytes not found in the remaining 3 organisms. Question number 69. After a significant reduction in BOD of wastewater, it is passed into a settling tank where bacterial flocks are allowed to sediment. This sediment is called. In the wastewater treatment process, the treated primary effluent is transferred to a large aeration tanks. These tanks are constantly pumped with air by agitation, which allows growth of aerobic microbes into flocs, that is, masses of bacteria associated with fungal filaments to form mesh-like structures. Microbes use the oxygen supply to break down the organic content in the effluent, which helps in reducing the BOD, that is, the amount of oxygen that would be consumed if all the organic matter in 1 liter of water is oxidized by bacteria considerably. Once the BOD has been reduced to the required level, the treated effluent is passed into the settling tank to allow the flocks to settle and form sediments. This sediment is referred to as activated sludge rich in microbes. Some portion of the sludge is used as inoculate for next batch of aeration treatment and rest is transferred into sludge digesters where anaerobic microbes grow and digest the sludge content and produce a mixture of gases having methane, hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide. So the answer for this question is option B, activated sludge. Question number 70. Read the following statements and find out incorrect statement. Mons pubis is a cushion of fatty tissue that is covered by skin and pubic hair and more prominent in female. It provides cushioning during sexual intercourse. The labia majora are fleshy folds of tissue which extend down from the mons pubis and surround the vaginal opening only. The labia minora form two small folds of skin of the ula. It lacks fatty tissue. The opening of the vagina is often covered partially by a membrane called as hymen. The presence or absence of hymen is not a reliable indicator of virginity or sexual experience. Hymen is very thin membrane that can be broken by extension caused due to heavy exercise. The clitoris lies at the upper junction of the labia minora above the urethral opening. It is an erectile structure homologous to the male penis. So the answer for this question is option A. So from the question number 71. Quantitative comparison between the growth of living system can made in two ways. So there are two ways are given here. Quantitative comparisons between the growth of living system can also be made in two ways. Measurement and comparison of total growth per unit time is called as absolute growth rate. The second one is the growth of given system per unit time expressed on a common basis. Example, per unit initial parameter is called as relative growth rate. So the answer for this question is option A. A represent absolute growth, B represent relative growth. Question number 72. Which of the following gas in the atmosphere is not considered as a pollutant? Substances that pollute or become hazardous to environment are considered as pollutants. Carbon dioxide is normally not considered as pollutant since it is part of photosynthetic process of green plants. Carbon dioxide is used to make carbohydrates in photosynthesis. Also, it is a greenhouse gas helping in keeping the atmosphere warm enough to sustain life. However, the excessive release of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere by anthropogenic activities has lead to increase in atmospheric pollution. Also, higher quantity of it has in the global temperature due to its greenhouse effect. So the answer is option B, carbon dioxide. Question number 73. A protozoan reproduces by binary fission. What will be the number of protozoans in its population after 6 generations? Pattern, both the progenies of the divided cell participate in the next division cycle. The exponential growth pace is observed in this pattern. The graph in geometric growth is a typical sigmoid curve, whereas in arithmetic growth the graph is straight line. Binary fission is a type of asexual mode of reproduction where the cell divides into two form new individual daughter cells. It is the most common form of the reproduction observed in bacterial groups and also some unicellular eukaryotes like amoeba and paramecium. It's a type of protozoans. If a protozoan cell reproduces by binary fission, then after 6 generations, there will be 64 cells as each cell produces 2 new cells. So it can be calculated using the formula 2 square n, where n represent number of generation. 2 square 6 equal to 64. So the answer for this question is option A, 64. Question number 74. Which of the following is not correct about acetabulum? The acetabulum is the circuit where head of the femur articulates to form hip joint. It is formed by the fusion of three bones of the pelvis, ischium, ilium and pubis. During the articulation, the acetabulum is oriented laterally, inferiorly and anteriorly, while the femur neck is directed superiorly, slightly anterior with medial orientation. The scapula and collarbone forms the bone of the shoulder region. For example, pectoral girdle. So the answer is option A. It is a part of pectoral girdle. Question number 75. The rate at which light energy is converted to chemical energy of organic molecules is. The rate at which organic molecules are formed in a green plant is called as gross productivity. Gross productivity, that is gross primary productivity of ecosystem, is the rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis. A considerable amount of GPP is utilized by plants during respiration. So the answer is option B, gross primary productivity. Question number 76. Which of the following statement is true for lymph? Lymph is a colorless vascular connective tissue derived from tissue fluid. RBCs and platelets are absent. Only leukocytes and floating amoeboid lymphocytes are present. So the answer is option B, all components of blood except RBCs and some proteins. Question number 77. Match the column 1 with column 2. Select the correct option from quotes given below. From the given two columns, meristem is matching with meristematic tissues are actively dividing cells. Parenchyma cells, the main function of the parenchyma cell is storage. But in some parts of the plant body, parenchyma cells contain chlorophyll pigment that carry out the process photosynthesis. So the parenchyma is matching with, from the second column 1, collenchyma. Collenchyma is matching with that from the second column living mechanical tissue. It provides additional support to the plant body. Sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma cells are divided into two types, sclerites and fibers. So it is matching with sclerites. In epidermal tissues, it is matching with stomata. In some parts of the plant body, epidermal cells contain minute openings which are called as stomata. So the correctly matching option is option B. Question number 78. Which of the following statements are false or true? Here there are 4 statements are given. Calcitonin is a hormone released by thyroid gland that regulates calcium and phosphate metabolism in blood. Partition is the process of childbirth where the uterine muscles contract to force the baby out of the mother's womb. Uterine contraction is stimulated by the hormone oxytocin, which is released by the posterior pituitary. Vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone, it is generally called as ADH, is released by the posterior pituitary that stimulated water reabsorption in distal convoluted tubules and collecting duct of the nephron, thereby increasing the concentration of urine. This hormone prevents dehydration and reduces urine production. Graves, generally called as hyperthyroidism or overactive thyroid, is an autoimmune disorder believed to be caused due to the genetic and environmental factors. So the answer for this question is option D. From the given 4 statements, A and B are true, C and D are false. Question number 79. Eulothrix and Spirogyra are. Eulothrix and Spirogyra belong to the class Chlorophyceae, commonly called green algae. Eulothrix found in freshwater and marine water is generally found in attached to the bed of the water bodies. The cells are very long and broad and favor low temperature for growth. They attach themselves to the bed by a modified holdfast cell. Spirogyra, on the other hand, are free living and form moss floating on the surface of the water bodies. They are generally found in freshwater region and named so due to their spiral form of chloroplast. Both of these groups of organisms from filaments of chains of cells and are unbranched. Both so reproduction by fragmentation. So the answer for this question is option C. The plant body is filamentous and unbranched. Question number 80. Which of these is a non-steroidal contraceptive pill? Or ormeloxifene or centrochroman is a selective estrogen receptor modulator. It is a non-steroidal oral contraceptive pill to be consumed once a week. It was developed by Central Drug Research Institute in Lucknow, India. So the answer is option C, Saheli. Or 81. Chemi-osmotic theory of ATP synthesis in chloroplast and mitochondria is based on. Peter Mitchell, a British biochemist, in the year of 1961 proposed the chemi-osmotic theory, where he states that the protons pumped out due to the action of the electron transport system into the intermembrane space of mitochondria generates an electrochemical gradient. The gradient of proton causes higher pH value in the internal matrix of mitochondria and low pH value in the intermembrane space, and when the protons flow back in, energy is dissipated, which helps in the synthesis of ATP by the ATP synthase. Such proton gradient also developed in the chloroplast at the lumen of thylakoid and stroma. This occurs due to the photolysis of water releasing protons and the movement of protons from stroma to thylakoid due to the action of NADP reductase enzyme. There is a low pH value in the thylakoid lumen and high pH value in the stroma, and the flow of protons due to the gradient again result in the formation of ATP. So the answer is option B, proton gradient. Question number 82. Which one of the following is not a plastid? Plastids are membrane-bound organelles found in cells of plants, algae, and some other organisms from eukaryotic group. These organelles are involved in either making food or storage of food. Plastids are further divided into groups such as leucoplast, chromoplast, and chloroplast. Chloroplast is involved in making food via photosynthesis. Leucoplast are colorless organelles mainly for storage, and it is further divided into amyloplast and eleoplast and aleuroplast. Chromoplast is an organelle that provides color containing yellow or orange pigment. So the answer for this question is option D, aleuron. Question number 83. The most commonly used bioreactor is of stirring type. The stirrer facilitates sponged and mixed in a sponged stir tank bioreactor, which increases the surface area of oxygen transfer. The stirrer ensures proper mixing and distribution of nutrients and the oxygen for microbes to optimize their activity. So the answer is option C, oxygen availability. Or during somatic hybridization in plants, plant cell wall called as protoplast. Protoplast of two different plants can be fused to obtain a hybrid protoplast and grown into a new plant. Such process is called as somatic hybridization, since somatic cells are used for fusion and not gametic cells. The hybrids formed from such technique are called somatic hybrids. So the answer for this question is option C. Cell wall and middle lamella are digested before fusing the cells. Question number 85. How much oxygen is supplied to tissues under normal physiological conditions by the oxygenated blood? Tissues can utilize only 25% of oxygen carried by the blood. Every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver around 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues under normal physiological conditions. The venous blood will have approximately 15 ml oxygen by 100 ml of blood as it comes over the tissue in normal conditions. Every 100 ml deoxygenated blood delivers approximately 4 ml of carbon dioxide to the alveoli. The answer for this question is option A, 5 ml oxygen. 86. Pronuba moth is a specific pollinator of. Pronuba moth is a small white moth found in semi-arid habitats where yucca plants grow. This moth lays its egg, whose larvae feed on the plant seed as source of food, and in turn the moth pollinates for the plant. A mutualism relationship forms between the moth and the plant. This insect does not pollinate for any other plant. So the answer is option C, yucca. Question number 87. GLUT4 is glucose transporter type 4, that is generally called as GLUT4, is a protein that facilitates glucose transport across membrane in cells. GLUT4 is the insulin regulated glucose transporter. It is primarily found in the adipose tissue and striated muscles, that is otherwise called as skeletal and cardiac muscles. GLUT4 is a insulin regulated glucose transporter that permits facilitated diffusion of blood glucose down its concentration gradient. So the answer for this question is option A. GLUT4 is a protein which enables glucose transport in cells. Question number 88. Match the column 1 with column 2. From column 1, A. Propase. Propase is matching with spindle fibers start appearing near the nucleus. B. Metapase. It is matching with chromosome complete its condensation. Third one. C. Anapase. It is matching with chromosomes appear V, L, J and I shaped. That is fifth one. D. Telopase. It is matching with first one. Nucleolus reappears. E. Cytokinesis. It is matching with second one. Division of protoplast. So the correctly matching option is B. Question number 89. Pyruvic acid, the key product of glycolysis, can have many metabolic fates. Under aerobic condition it forms. Respiration is the mechanism to break down food molecules to release energy in the form of ATP. During the process of aerobic respiration, phosphorylation of ADP occurs, forming the energy currency molecule adenosine triphosphate. One of the steps of the respiration process is glycolysis, where 6-carbon compound glucose is converted into 3-carbon compound pyruvate. After it, depending on the presence or absence of oxygen, pyruvate is processed to generate energy. In aerobic condition, pyruvate enters the Krebs cycle by undergoing oxidative decarboxylation process. This reaction is catalyzed by enzyme pyruvate dehydrogenase with Mg2+ as cofactor. Coenzyme NAD and coenzyme A are required in the reaction, giving the end result as acetyl-CoA, and NADH2 carbon dioxide is also released in this process. In anaerobic condition, in muscle tissues, pyruvic acid forms lactic acid. Yeast converts pyruvic acid to ethanol and carbon dioxide under anaerobic condition. This process referred to as fermentation. So the answer for this question is C, acetyl-CoA and carbon dioxide. Question number 90 is the last question. Arrange the following in descending order of their size. DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid is the long chain polynucleotide which forms the hereditary material in all organisms. It is a double stranded helical structure having the length of approximately 2.2 meter. Single stranded RNA molecule transcribed from the template strand of DNA is the mRNA or messenger RNA. This RNA formed in nucleus moves to the cytoplasm where it is translated to make proteins. It is larger in size as compared to ribosomal RNA and transfer RNA. The RNA which in combination with protein forms ribosomes is the ribosomal RNA. It forms 80% of the RNA of the cell. It is smaller than mRNA but larger than transfer RNA. The RNA which carries amino acids from cytoplasm and transfer it to the growing peptide chain is called as tRNA. It is the smallest RNA. So the answer for this question is option B. DNA is in order of the based on the size. Thank you very much for listening our videos. Those who are watching our videos, you are requested to like, subscribe and share to your friends. All the best.